Hello, I'm popping up for a quick little catch up. I hope that if you have been here before, you'll join me for a little bit of a quick intro to what's been going on for the last few months, and then I'm going to jump into a little bit of a sort of vlogmas over December. But I didn't want to jump straight into that without coming and having a little chat first. So if you don't know me, hi, my name is Laura, and this is definitely not the video to start with if you are new to my channel. If you are not new, hi, thank you for coming back. This year's been a lot, but hasn't every year for all of us. I vanished again for a little while, and it's a shame because it came off the back of a good chunk of months where I felt really positive and I was able to be really engaged with everything over here and with my friends and all the things that I love. And I thought I'd come on and just let you know sort of what's happened and what my plans are for the future to get myself back on track. And there's a few things housekeeping wise that I need to sort out for my lovely, lovely friends and followers. I want to record throughout December a few little snippets and put them together into a sort of medium-sized vlogmas. It's not going to be a video every day, but a little bit of a memory keeping thing for December and a bit of fun and get me back into the routine of videoing. But before I was going to come back with that, there's a few things I thought I'd update you on. Firstly, I want to say a huge thank you to everybody that has supported my business throughout this year. Everyone who has stuck with me through the clubs, even when I've gone quiet on my YouTube or haven't been able to be present in my Discord. You guys who've stuck with me for the clubs, who have understood when things have been a bit chaotic over here, and instead of my clubs shipping on like the 15th of the month, they've had to go by the end of the month. And you know, like there's been times when I have been in a real struggle, and I'm so grateful that you guys have stuck with me through it. So in terms of what has been going on over here, you may notice that I am not in my usual space or any space that you have seen before. And that is because I have had to move studio. There was a lot of things that went on. It's not a planned move, and on one side I was quite sad to move, on the other side I'm just happy it's done now. I didn't choose to move. There was a lot of things that were happening. It's a big communal building and a lot of people going in and out. We've had cars damaged, there was a lot of noise, there was a lot of issues with maintenance on the building, and I hate the idea of really saying anything against the company that runs that building and many other buildings in our town, because all the individual people who work there are really lovely, but they drew up their lease, which I signed, and they unfortunately did breach it many times over my tenancy, and it got to the point where it was really badly impacting my business. And they did eventually agree to allow me to leave early. Well, not allow me, they had no choice really, because they had breached my lease so many times, and my attempts to try and mediate and fix those problems had unfortunately been unsuccessful. So I have moved. That was not a smooth move. Moving into this new space, which is much bigger, which means more money, which is scary. Moving into this new space has not been without its challenges. It's still not completely ready, but it is a bigger space, so I can have a separate dye space and a separate packing space, and I can now be open once I get everything sorted out and organised, and I can do clubs and groups and like lessons and actually have opening hours for the business as well. And I have lots of ideas that I'd like to do, but I need to learn to walk before I keep trying to run. So I will show you guys around, especially during Vlogmas. You're going to see a lot of this space, but yeah, I'm still in Lowestoft, which is the most easterly town in England, and actually this space is only a between 5 and 10 minute walk from my front door, so I don't even have to drive to work anymore. So yeah, it's silver linings and stuff in there, and I have a very nice landlord, and it's, yeah, I'm very happy. So got there in the end, but it's still having a few knock-on effects now. Also, in the last few months, I have had some hospital stays. I've had appendicitis. I did not have surgery because there is a huge amount of stuff going on in here. Every time I seem to have emergency surgeries, they go wrong. I end up in a hospital for a month and don't remember half of it because I have been so poorly. But this time I got appendicitis and ended up in hospital with a lot of pain, but with no infection. So I was able to stay in the hospital for a further 48 hours after they'd admitted me on IV antibiotics, and then I went home and had another week's worth of antibiotics and was on a virtual ward. The NHS is full on levelling up now. So yeah, I also had to go back last week for investigations to try and find out what had caused it. And if you know what sort of investigation they do to have a look at your appendix, you'll know it's not fun. Yeah, and you have to fast beforehand. And before that, you have to be on this awful food plan, which was horrible when I was in for my IV antibiotics. My cannula, I think it was a nerve issue, but my cannula started causing pain all down my arm that went into my hand, and I had pain all through this part of my hand for a really long time. And then at one point, after I got back from Glasgow, School of Yarn show, this part of my hand froze up. So yeah, it's been painful to knit, and it has been then kind of impossible to knit and do much at all. I have ended at Glasgow School of Yarn, which is my one shining bit. In all of the last few months, there has been so much physical pain, there has been so much panic and worry with everything that's gone on. And even when I went to Glasgow, I had a bit of an issue. I have a issue with hypermobility and stand loss, and both my hips, like my legs, came out at my hip, like felt like they'd come out of my hips during the night in one of the nights at Glasgow, and I ended up sleeping, once I'd been able to move, with a pillow here and a pillow here. I'm sort of wedging my whole body onto this bed. Ended up nearly at the point where I was going to have to ring my lovely friend Helen of Giddy Yarns to get her to come to my hotel room to pull me out of bed just so I could get my hips to sort of work again, which then meant that moving around after that was awful. But luckily, I was at Glasgow School of Yarn when this happened. And Glasgow School of Yarn look after you even when you are a broken woman. They are one of the best organiser, volunteer, staff member teams going. So they were my shining light of like, there's good in the world, because their team is amazing. Their visitors are some of the nicest people, and I had a lovely weekend. So yeah, as much as I had some physical issues for that weekend as well, they were my little bright spot in there. I've had some general unwellness as well. My digestion has been giving me some issues. So I've had a bit more weight loss, which was definitely unintentional, and I haven't been feeling very well. So yeah, kind of ended up by the end of it feeling a bit hopeless and miserable. I'm trying not to be a doom and gloom, and I don't like to come on the internet. I like to share sort of what's going on. I think it's nice to have a whole spectrum of life. I don't think you should just come onto the internet and show the good bits. But I was at a point of feeling so hopeless in myself that I didn't want to come on the internet and share complete and utter hopeless misery, because that's not true. I have a lot, I'm alive, I've got 2 healthy children, I have a lovely, lovely husband, I have lovely parents, I have so much. But when you feel like everything just keeps happening, it's sometimes hard to see the light when you're in the dark. Do you know what I mean? And yeah, so I withdrew and I just focused on the small things that I could control around me. And yeah, we're getting there. I finally feel like I'm getting a handle on everything, and I miss my friends. I miss you guys. I miss my community. I miss that. I don't have huge amounts of time. I'm not sitting here going, I'm sitting around doing nothing now or anything like that. Like, everything is still 100 miles an hour. But I wanted to come back, and I wanted to make sure that I was present in the bits of my life that matter. And so yeah, so I'm back. Hi. And we'll see how it goes. It's been a lot. So in terms of getting back on track, here is all the everything. One of the videos next week will be a catch up on prizes. Now, we have prizes to give out for people who've done the finished object thread in my Discord group. Anybody who has made a project using at least 50% of my yarn, whether that be folk or Lonely Knitter yarn, they will be in the running for prizes. And not only will they be in the running for prizes on that thread, I have multiple points of the year that I need to catch up with. I'm going to put in extra prizes. There's going to be a whole bumper round of prizes because everyone has waited so nicely and been so supportive and so kind. So next week there will be a prize draw video. Yay! I also plan to get back in the loop and actually watch some Vlogmas and some podcasts and things like that. So please do comment below if there is anyone who's doing Vlogmas who you are loving, and pop a comment and let me know who it is, because I would love to know and put them on my list, because I want to get some Vlogmas in my life this December. I need to have a chat with my lovely friend Helen of Giddy Yarns, because we had a make along going on for our gnomes, which when we were in Glasgow we talked about extending till the end of the year, or like just seeing how it went. But I need to actually have a chat with her and see what's going on and what we're doing with that and prizes and all the stuff with that. And I will also make sure, because I went totally AWOL for a big chunk there, that I put in extra prizes for our gnome prize draw thingies as well. A huge bit of what I want December to be is getting back to my knitting. With my hand problem, I am still in a little bit of pain, but nowhere near what I was, and it isn't frozen up. I've been resting it, and now I'm starting to do a few more things. I want to get back to my knitting. My knitting is so often my sanity. It is my little tiny little thing that I can have going on all the time, especially when I'm panicked or anxious. And I think that's one of the reasons why I became so panicked and anxious this year, is because I couldn't knit in the last few months, and I couldn't knit. I didn't have time to really do much knitting anyway, but then when I did have a little slither of time where I could have my knitting on the go, I felt like I couldn't because I was in pain, and that's easing off, and I need to start exercising it and doing other things that I've been doing, some stretches and stuff, little exercises with it anyway. But yeah, back to the knitting. Advent calendars. Now, there are some advent calendars in my life, yarny ones, crafty ones, and I'm going to be showing you those on my Vlogmas, but also I want to work with them, and I want to open them and enjoy them, and everything has been so stressful and so panicky that I haven't been doing the things that are like what feel like treats, you know, and almost like I felt like I didn't deserve them while I was trying to catch up with everything and get everything perfect, and that's just not life. So gonna get back to that. And the last thing that I will say for in terms of stuff that's coming up that I'm doing is that I am going to be having a shop update. It is tomorrow, Friday, the 5th of December at midday. That's GMT. I haven't had a shop update in quite a while. I took everything off of the website for Glasgow. The only thing that is on there now are spare advents. I haven't advertised that there are spare advents on the website. I haven't been on Instagram. I haven't been anywhere because everything has been so completely all-encompassing that social media was a bit that every time I went there I became instantly overwhelmed and just, yeah. So that is what I will be slowly getting back to over December, and I hope you will be with me throughout it, but I totally understand if not. But no pressure at all. But if you are in the market for some yarn, if you were looking for a Christmas present, but it's not just yarn, I also have a whole load of other things that will be hitting the website. I stock books. This is all stuff that I've stocked for, well, over a year now actually, but a lot of it doesn't go onto the website. But I am a mood bag, project bag stockist and accessories stockist. I stock books, I stock chow glue needles, and I have my folk yarn, my Lonely Knitter yarn. But here in the studio, I do also have a small range of commercial yarns because it's good to always have a nice wide range in terms of financial, because I was open to the public, and you know, there's it's nice to have something for everyone. So I have a very small amount of commercial yarn here in the studio as well, which I am considering putting up on the website just so that people have options there as well. There is some of my lovely club folks who have a discount code that is valid until the end of December, so you'll be able to use that if you did want to get anything for yourself. And one of my lovely friends about halfway through this year let me know that the reward system that my website has had vanished off when my website had a big update, and that is now back on there. So if you had the reward system previously or want to have it in the future, it's on there now, and you should be able to see you get points when you buy things, and that gives you discounts of future purchases. So it is back up there if you use that. The last thing that I'm going to say is that we are coming up to Christmas. Now, you may know, if you've been watching me for a while, that I have... I'm trying to think about how to say this. You may know, if you've been watching me for a while, that religion hasn't ever been a big part of my life. Faith in people has always been very, very high up there. But yeah, no, like I would say I've been raised in a sort of atheist, sometimes agnostic sort of family tradition, life, everything. And people change and stuff goes on. My advent calendars don't mention Christmas because that's what I've always sort of had with those. I don't talk about Christmas. I say Happy December, or I hope you have a nice December. But whilst it is a countdown to Christmas, you could use it at any time in the year. I have always thought that different religions can be beautiful. I like to learn about everyone's different religions. I like to learn about everyone's different faiths. I have no problem with people having different opinions, and yeah, I think that can be in many ways what makes us all wonderful. And organised religion, I have I have feelings about it throughout history, definitely. But what I will say is that I have kind of been on a little bit of a faith journey over the last couple of months. And I am never going to be the sort of person that is telling anybody out there that they need to do what I do in terms of that. It's something that's quite personal to me, but it has helped me through this year when I was in a really hopeless point, and it's been an absolute source of light and helpfulness. and just, yeah, a lot of love. So you might, through my Vlogmas at sometimes, you might see little hints as we run up to Christmas of me being in places that I might not previously have shown on Vlogmas videos or things like that. I don't want to be not upfront. I have historically always shared quite a lot here on the YouTubes in terms of my home life, my family life, or like my personal stuff. And I don't really want that to change. And my now faith part of my life that is sort of evolving, changing, and in my life, that is there and it is important to me. So you might see little glimpses of that, but I don't want to offend anyone, I don't want to upset anyone, and I am never going to be the sort of person that's like judging other people on anything, because I have no right to do that and I wouldn't do that. So yeah, I just thought I would very slightly just bring that up because I know it might become as a little bit of a surprise. I hope I won't offend anyone or upset anyone if throughout December or at any point in the future they see little bits of my life that are touched by my faith, that I'm learning a lot about still and things like that. I would never be offended by seeing anyone else's religion. I have no problem with wishing other people happy times at celebrations for their religions. I have a huge amount of respect for everyone being able to have what they need in terms of their life and their religion. If you're not hurting someone else, then I don't have a problem. So I hope everyone will be able to give me that same respect. But yeah, I've been having a bit of a hard time and that has helped me through. So if you see little glimpses of it, that is not in any way me trying to push it on anybody else. I'm not pushing anything on anyone. Yeah, that was the scariest bit of the video. Sometimes it can be a little bit scary putting things on the internet, but I feel like I know you guys. I know that you are. I know that my community can be one of the most loving, supportive, kind places, and I'm really hoping that it will just carry on being that way. Anyway, that was the end of this very self-indulgent little chit-chat here on the internet. I hope you guys are okay. I hope everyone is all alright and knitting and creating, especially when I haven't been. I'll keep up the side for me. But yeah, I'll be back shortly with another video. Here we go, into December, and I missed you guys, and thank you for sticking with me and checking in on me and messages. And I feel like I come back and say that a lot, and I want to get to a point where I don't do that anymore because I'm always just here. Life has lifed again. But yeah, the next video you see from me will be something a bit more vlogmasy, and hopefully I will have found my microphone, which I don't know what I've done with it in the move, which is why I don't have one on today, so I hope you can hear me. Bit late to say that now, it's right at the end. Brilliant. As always, thank you for making me so much less of a lonely knitter.